Hey everybody, Zach Joyner here for Spidey-Dude.com, and I'm joined by Kelly. That's right. This is the inaugural episode of Make Mine Mayday. We got 5 people already watching the stream right now.
Yay!
So, yeah. And we are live
Very
now
excited.
on YouTube. So I have the YouTube open on the other screen. But yeah, no, we're really excited, man. This has been a dream come true for Kelly brewing for a long time.
Well, sort of. I mean, it's the idea of Make Mine Mayday has been in my head for a while.
Right.
It's changed a little bit here and there, and somehow made its way as intended, which is
exactly
cool.
You know, I didn't anticipate. Obviously, doing a new Mayday show, but I'm glad we are. If you'll indulge me for a second, Kelly, I will give everybody a slight update. So we've been slowly but surely rebuilding our streams, and one of the things that I've been able to do, and I'll share my screen right quick, is all the episode covers. This is an example of. The episode covers are now showing up on things like Spotify, and I think they're supposed to be showing up on Apple too as well. So I did give a site update on Twitter. So if you'll follow us on Twitter, it's at Spidey Dude Radio. That is where the Twitter is. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're slowly but surely rebuilding. Spidey Dude Experience is on Apple now. Spec Radio, at least the first 17 episodes are back up and ready to go. Amazing Spider-Man Classics, I am working on that. So just we're keeping on. We're chugging along. Of course, you can go to spidey-dude.com for more information. For those that don't know, we had a malware attack that hit us back in September, and we've been having to rebuild from scratch. Yay! This is the second time this has happened.
You know what, though? It was, you wanted to do a big rebrand, real big push. And even though this sucks, it was good. Hi, Superior Spider Talk. How are you?
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Hi.
He's watching us on Twitter. So thanks for watching. We just hope you guys can like, share, retweet.
Yeah.
Do whatever you got to do. Superior Spider Talk. Look, I've known all these guys for a long time. I've been interacting on and off a little bit on the Twitter, and so thank you for watching the show.
Yeah, thank you.
This is our episode 0.
Yes,
which
it is the prelude. It is precursor to our plan, but I wanted an official episode 0 where we get to kind of talk about us. You get to meet us. And kind of bring you into the fold and to my crazy idea of not just talking about, not just talking about the issues and the story, but also talking about the fandom and its history and pop culture, because not a lot of people know that, but I want to celebrate that and kind of bring us all back together.
Yeah. So one of the differences between obviously Mayday Mondays and this is we are going to do reviews of the issues, but that was a review driven show. This is a show that's just, we want to focus on the fandom and the history, and it's a very much a time capsule of that era, because really what you're seeing with fandom and Twitter and stuff like that now, kind of the foundations of it really started during the early to mid 2000s. And how how things have evolved over that period of time. So episode 0. It does not. So what
kind of variant cover you want?
Hey, we got Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
You should break conventions and go straight into negative numbers. There's Sarah.
There's Sarah.
There's.
Hi.
So we're fine.
I realized we were live, but not live with all these people. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, people.
That's Sarah. That gives me a great opportunity. I can kind of talk about your other show on the network that's going to be coming soon called Marvelous Women.
Sure. Yeah, Marvelous Women. So that's going to be a monthly character thing with me and Sarah, where we kind of jump in and get down to the nitty gritty about why each particular female character that we're talking about is awesome, and talk about their history and why they are super important and super awesome and marvelous.
And
so
marvelous. What makes them marvelous, right?
Yes.
All the things make them marvelous.
Episode 0, Volume 1. Yes, that is
Volume
correct.
Technically.
Hi, there's Scott.
Hi,
and then we got
Scott.
Howdy Sarah.
Oh yeah, look at this cool box Scott made me.
That is
sorry
awesome.
I'm not using what's in it right now, but it's pretty awesome. Very happy.
That's really cool, Scott.
Did not have time to play with it to make sure it would work right, but next time.
Next time.
There are slow upgrades. Oh, it's special.
It's special.
It's a camera.
It's a camera. So.
All right.
Yeah. So, obviously, you saw the banner just a second ago. I said that what's the plan for the show? We want to bring in the fandom of Spider-Girl and how everything is, built with that fandom and why, there's a lot of people that are reading now, like on the Reddit that you so help nurture.
Oh, Kelly.
We'll go into that, but yeah, there's Reddit and Twitter, and there's so many new fans, and they don't fully know exactly they kind of don't know what went on during the beginning, and obviously we'll talk about that, because the one thing I think that makes Spider-Girl so special is how dedicated the fans were in the beginning, how dedicated the fans still are. Obviously, most of us are in our 30s now, and we're, we've got lives. Unfortunately, we had to be adults, which suck. Which is one reason why I want this show, because then we don't have to be adults for like an hour and a half. Okay. But essentially we don't really get to talk about that anymore. And this is just kind of the idea that I want to bring into the fold and let us chat about it, talk to people about the times where, we were saving the series from our, basically trying to save it from Marvel's chopping block, where, how we felt about it kind of being the first series in its entirety on Marvel Unlimited, how we felt about Slott doing Slott things in Spider-Verse, and just all sorts of different stuff. Like listen, there's a way where it doesn't have to be all about the reviews, and that's what I'm trying to get at.
Trust me, it's overrated. No, I'm kidding.
Not even a month in, and I'm already over it. So.
Yeah. I'm 32, so yeah. Look, for me, much like the Clone Saga, you have that Life of Riley that tells you the story behind the story. There is a very big untold story of the fandom saving a book almost a dozen times, and how that was completely different from what the market has been even now. The market is very, you do it for 6 months. Basically, you're doing things in 6-month chunks, and Spider-Girl was the anomaly. The things like these digests, the story of how that started. How that became a thing for
how
so
they were
people.
in 3-packs at Walmart. They were in the 3-issue magazines at Target.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot. It was I like to say Spider-Girl walked so Spider-Gwen could run.
No, it's very true. And I was one of those, and I have been one of those in the past that gets really frustrated when I see the amount of hype that Spider-Gwen's gotten, but that really wasn't possible without Mayday, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, even that Amazing Spider-Girl relaunch was not a sure thing until it became a thing. We were flabbergasted when that announcement came out. So our goal is we've reached out to some people, and we're going to try to get them on. I'm not going to say like next episode, but very soon. We're going to work the logistics out. Another person that we want to get is Pat Olive, and talk with him. And obviously, if Ron wants to come back with Tom, they're more than welcome. You know, this is very much, we want to capture and be able to not be gatekeeping, you know, because that sometimes happens with established fandoms.
Well, I'll also put it this way. That's not how, I don't think Mayday would take kind to gatekeepers or people trying to shut people out and not allowing them to express themselves. And that's not where I want to be with this at all. I know I've had to catch myself once or twice because certain newer fans just don't know, or they don't fully understand, and that's okay. That's what this is here for. That's kind of what this is all about. It's why I'm doing the Reddit discussions where we're going through the issues and we're talking about it. I want to hear their side and how they came to their own headcanons and conclusions and having fun with that, because that's kind of what this is all about. They're allowed to have a different opinion. It still doesn't make them less of a fan. Regardless if they just read their first issue a month ago, or if they've been reading, like me, have been reading it since, I was an 8-year-old who found the series. So this is about the fandom, new and old. I kind of want to be able to get some fan panels in here where we talk about like the fan art, and honestly, if we could find some of the old fan fiction writers, like I'm down. It's more of I want to show off everybody, because that's what we should be doing.
And there's a concept that is often lost, that every comic is somebody's first, and so. For some people, they didn't know Spider-Girl until they read Spider-Verse. You know, and when I remember when we on the network, when we did the old show, we were very, very upset with the situation, and some of that was justified in it. Mm-hmm. However, I think we didn't see the forest for the trees at the time. And now that we've had Spider-Verse, we've had Web Warriors, we've had Spider-Girls, since the end of the series, you know, that's what people associate. And so now it's because it's so readily available on Marvel Unlimited. Now people can start going back and being like, okay, you know, doing those things like the read-throughs of the MC2 read-throughs, you know, but also people look, for every failed imprint, I think there was, Ultimate was, people were like, oh, it ultimately failed. No, Ultimate was a very successful imprint. And I don't think you do Ultimate Spider-Man without the MC2 experiment. I think that was, you know, how big of a bold, brash experiment that was. I don't think that you know, Jameis would have even thought about doing Ultimate, you know. Obviously, there's some influence, like with Ultimate Spider-Man, with Chapter 1 and all that, and how that ultimately failed. But yeah, it's very much a microcosm of the time. And do we want to get to story time?
We should definitely get to story time. I do want to say I don't think Ultimate ever failed, because when you look around, Ultimate was made with new readers in mind, and during the time of the height of the Marvel movies. And what is always constantly referenced in every reboot, in every movie, MCU is pretty much like there's mixtures of 80s plots and Ultimate. Like
there's a lot of Ultimate influence in the MCU, and I think that you don't have that you don't have the MCU, modern MCU without the Ultimate Universe.
No,
You know,
or MC2 if we really want to get into. Hope
yeah,
Van
yeah.
Dyne.
I mean, hello, Hope Van Dyne looks directly like she was pulled out of MC2. So story time.
She was just different universe. Anyway.
Different universe. So we wanted to kind of talk about our experiences of how we found Spider-Girl, how we started. For me, I'm old enough to remember when there was a baby running around in Spider-Man's universe named May.
She wasn't running around, and I don't think she survived a day.
She was gestating. So obviously, Mayday, the whole concept of Mayday being a daughter of Spider-Man started out with the Spider-Man Clone Saga. The reason why I'm holding up this specific part of the third trade of the Epic Book Collection is this was my first issue of Spider-Man. So it was 3 months after they had brought the baby plot point in. Spectacular 220 was the first time that Mary Jane, told Peter that she's pregnant. And so, I read that book. I literally have 2 copies. One was my original copy, and the other was the one that I bought after the fact that was like my keep copy, my collect copy. Yeah, it did, definitely, Greg. I agree. So obviously, Mayday is a big plot point during the Clone Saga, and then you get to the end of the Clone Saga, and there's ambiguous part of, was she stillborn? Was she not stillborn? Was she still alive? And ultimately, basically, Bob Harris comes out or basically tells everybody, we're not going to touch it. We'll just leave it out there. And I remember my dad was mad because they wouldn't address it. He's like, because like even years later, the first question out of his mouth when he'd ask like, what's going on with Spider-Man? Did they ever figure that thing out with the baby? I'm like, no. And so ultimately that leads to Tom's doing a pitch for an issue of What If, and was like, what if the Spider-Girl lived? What if Mayday lived? What if little baby May lived? And that turned into What If 105. And so I remember picking up the first issue of Spider-Girl. I didn't pick up 0, but I did pick up this issue. This issue number 1. I didn't pick up 0 until much later. But yeah, I picked up issue 1, and I picked up the first like 3 or 4 issues, and then they stopped carrying it.
Wait,
I remember,
what?
Yeah, like Hastings, because so I was getting my books at Hastings.
Okay.
This was well before they had, gotten into the market of doing like back issues. And it was like right next to the magazine stand was the comics.
I don't know what Hastings is, so
Hastings was like a was like a mashup of Yeah, it was a mashup of Blockbuster meets like Barnes and Noble. And so
Suncoast. It was
it was like a Suncoast, but eventually like they were actually at one point the largest comic book retailer in the country. Okay. And up until 2018, when they 2016, they were trying to reorganize, and then they sold to a guy that basically said, we're just going to liquidate, and they were like, that's not what we were really wanting to do. They made it clear, and it ultimately was really sad. Really sad. But it was like I say, it was like a Blockbuster. You could rent movies, you can get books. And so and video games and stuff. And so you could, they kind of condensed down some of their comics that they were carrying. And so they stopped carrying Spider-Girl, and they were only carrying like major titles. And then I never really saw it at Walden Books. So I went for a long period without getting the book. And then my first issue consistently, when I started on my pull list, was issue 65. And I collected the series all the way through. Now, thanks to a certain somebody, I'm not going to point fingers. They've helped me get I have this complete series now.
Yay!
I helped too.
And that one there.
Yeah, she helped. I was like,
Yep.
All I did was that was nothing.
So yeah, again, you know, remember that museum that Randall worked in, Clerks? Oh, it makes me feel old. But yeah, no. So for me, my Spider-Girl story, I remember getting on the message boards. It was Alvaro's message board, and it's still there. You can still go to it, but it's a ghost town to compare to what it was. And
I mean, we. How many people are viewing us right now? We might be able to like get everyone to go say hi and just randomly like.
Yeah, we got 10 people on right now. I can.
Throw up the what?
Yeah, I'll
throw up the link. Throw up the link. Let's all like spam it.
Spider Girl. It's honestly a really simple link. It's commentboards.com/Spider-Girl.
I'm gonna talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so your story, I got really involved with that, and we did. There was a very concerted Save Spider-Girl campaign. We put stuff on our websites. Me and Brad Douglas and everybody, and so not Spidey Dude. Oh man,
what are you trying to do?
Freudian slip. Man,
okay,
all right.
There we go.
It comes natural to me. I start typing out Spider, and it's Spidey Dude occasionally pops
fine.
up.
It's fine. Whenever I have to type out Spidey Dude, I type up Spider Girl, so it's fine.
Yeah. So this is the this was the message board, and it's pretty much looks the exact same as it did.
I think that
And so they made some minor updates to like the UI on it.
Wait, what is that?
Spider.
No, what is that? What is that video?
Oh my God! Yeah,
we need to. Oh man, we need to go into one of our fan discussions need to be about AMVs because that into the night so someone made an AMV dedicated to a certain pairing that I will embarrass myself about later.
I already know what this
but they used Into the Night by Nickelback before Nickelback was uncool, and it still randomly pops up on my timeline on YouTube because of how many times I watched it. Yeah,
so again, the moderators like Matt Kaiser and John, let's call him John. They I don't know who Booch is. But yeah, like Matt was a moderator, Jeff and John, those were the guys that were the ringleaders when they did the previews ad. That was those guys. Those guys were the dudes that really shepherded it, and this community was thriving.
Hey.
His first foray into the interwebs was on and through the Spider-Girl message board. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So Minkman's here. Minkman.
Hey, Minkman.
Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
The great Ron friends.
Hello,
yes.
But yeah, I remember that was the first time I ever saw him on anything was on that message board. I was like, Ron's on the message board? Because Tom used to post all the time. And I remember, so that's how we got letters published in the letters pages. So like, yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of this place, and it was very much that to a lesser extent Spider-Man message board, but Spider-Man Crawl Space for me was that was my scene, but this was the second. And you really felt like you were a part of something, and that still is prevalent in the community today. It's just not nearly as centralized as it once was. And look, message boards are not what they are, what they were then. I mean, for a long time, message boards were the only place that you could really kind of fly your nerd flag. I mean,
yeah, I remember
the fact that we're in a phase. I remember just a few years ago, a good friend of mine named Don for Halloween wore a Carnage mask, and like the kids are like, "Who are you? Are you Venom? But you're red. That's not busy." Now, literally, you can go to Walmart and buy a Carnage costume. I saw it today. So, like now that everybody like our generation are having kids and stuff like that, there's the market there. They just didn't exist,
Well,
and
it's
obviously
it's a little bit different. I think a large part of it's just comic book movies literally exploded, and now they're everything. And thank you for. I'm so glad that. Wait, were we the first choice or the second choice?
It was the second choice.
Pinkman.
So it's okay, Pinkman.
Sorry, Daniel. We still love you.
Daniel, you're still beloved around here.
But,
so enough about me. Everybody may have heard my story through the various shows on the network. Kelly.
Okay. All right. Oh gosh. All right. So.
I mean, if I really, there she goes. She goes solo.
Hi. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, like I mean, I feel like I've talked about it. There's definitely, I talked a little bit about it in my interview on the crawl space for my costume, but I grew up with the series. I saw it in a comic book shop when I was about 8 years old, and about the only time I ever won the argument of let me have this new comic book from my dad, because normally it was quarter bin only. $1.99 was way too expensive for comics, guys. Just so expensive. And so, I was able to kind of get that and get some of the back issues because we were in a larger store. And we were in a comic book store because that was the only place you could go to talk shop about baseball cards, which is what my dad liked to do. Check out pricing. So I got all the back issues, and then I started collecting from there, using money from, getting A's on my report card and doing chores, allowance money. And it's just kind of what I did. I collected the comics. I've got plenty of stories about being in the comic book shop and going in twice a month and checking things out, and are having arguments with the teenage boys behind the counter because they didn't feel the same about Spider-Girl as I did. But that's kind of really my story. Obviously, like growing up, I didn't really have anybody else to talk to with comics. It was kind of me and my brother. None of my friends really cared. I would bring, I think this is probably around 2003. I brought a Target. It was like a 3-issue magazine thing from Target. And I brought it with me of Spider-Girl. And I was trying to like show off to my friends on
right.
vacation.
I feel this story on my bones.
Yeah. So I was trying to show to them, and no one cared. So I really didn't I kind of kept her close to my vest and the story close to my vest because no one cared. I would lurk on, there were a couple of like role-playing live journals and fan fiction and stuff like that. And so I'd lurk and I would read those. And at some point around 2002, 2003, I found the message board that Zach was discussing and signed up, but there was a large thing that you had to click that said you were 13 and up and like give your birth date. And I think I lied a little bit so I could log on because that's what you did back then. And I unfortunately did not lie about my age in the greetings, and someone pointed it out and I felt called out. So I didn't really post again.
Yeah, and as somebody that was a moderator of a major Spider-Man message board, we ran into problems with like kids that did that because it was supposed to be 13. And
I was like 11 or 12, so I feel I'm fine.
Right.
No harm done. But yeah, so I was a longtime lurker, never poster. and kind of just decided that was just my fate in life with Spider-Girl, and I was happy with it. Like, it was a constant thing. I basically, like, I literally went from 8 years old to almost 20 by the time Spider-Girl The End came out. And so I spent legitimately my entire tween and teen life growing up with this character. When The End happened, I kind of took that as like, okay, I need to go be an adult now because this is my childhood and it's like ending. Here's the book. And by the way, that is vastly overrated. Don't ever grow up, kids. Just don't.
Just be a Toys R Us kid your entire life. It's fine.
Yeah, obviously. But that was kind of my, like, I literally did. I felt like it was a closing of the chapters, and what kind of brought me back ultimately, like, I went through college. There was Slot. I remember, like, the Spider-Verse stuff. I kind of got, I don't know how to, what am I supposed to say on it? Like, I got literally harassed by somebody in college because I didn't think Slot wrote women well, and I was really worried about Spider-Verse from the get-go. Like, it was
Listen,
not great, guys.
I wanted to be excited for that, but I was always like cautiously optimistic. And then because he always talked about how much he loved the series, and I got questions.
I'm sorry. We won't go into that, but like, I remember that part. And you know, maybe I should have like come back in, but I really just, after that, I was just like, all right, I'll just keep collecting her. Like, if she shows up, great, awesome. But this is not my Mayday, and that's okay because it is Marvel's character, and I can't be mad, you know,
True.
that it's not.
True.
It's not the same because it's not the same writers. It's not the people I grew up with. It is what it is. So that's kind of how I felt until I got into, let's see, this is the part that I need to read because I was like, eep. But, you know, I wasn't really loud online and stuff like that. And it really wasn't until I kind of had a very chips are down situation for a long time where I felt really, really lost, I guess. Too Long Didn't Read version is people suck, and sometimes people can get you really twisted up and make you lose focus and lose who you are. And so as I was trying to build things back on that, one of the things that like I just refused to let go of was my giant Spider-Girl trunk of all my comics and all my stuff. It had literally gone with me moving in high school, 3 different colleges, moving back to my parents' house, then back up here and here in Atlanta and stuff like that. And so I was like, this is coming with me. Like, regardless if I have to sell everything else in my life and move and do whatever, this is coming with me. But I haven't picked up these comics since 2014. So let me go back and reread them. And honestly, and from there, it just kind of like, what is it, the inner child, whatever. I kind of realized how lost I was and like how unhappy I was with myself. So I decided to basically be like, well, what would 8-year-old Kelly say to me? Which was be more like Mayday. So that's kind of where I started getting really loud. I started using this hashtag Make Mine Mayday for all of my cosplay stuff because one of my biggest things was I was going to do the costume right.
Yeah.
And I was, and that was just more like it was like a fitness motivation. It was a crafting motivation, and it was ultimately just something to get my mind off of every other hard thing that you have to do as an adult when the chips are down to get yourself out of out of bad situations. So I did everything I could for it, and I decided there's social media and I can use a hashtag. I can tag Marvel and look at other things first, and let's just see what happens when I get loud about it. And I think really like most people have probably already figured that out from here because being loud, like, and not, I mean, it's not even loud, but it's like just from that, like I found the Reddit. I found a ton of friends through Instagram. I found Zach. I found the Crawl Space, Spidey Dude, and it's led me here, which I think is pretty cool because I've been wanting to do this for the last 3 years. This Mayday podcast, and ultimately didn't want to like step on anybody's toes or have any kind of competing podcast just because it was, there's not like a super duper audience for it to have a competing show, and I didn't want to hurt anybody, and so I wanted to help you guys. And long story short, here we are, and I'm super excited. All is right. I figured you brought it out. I thought you were bored. I was like, shoot, I'm boring people.
No.
But yeah,
I thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, like we can get into the nitty gritty on all of that later. I've definitely discussed how I made the costume. I didn't necessarily discuss like working out and boring things, but yeah, no, hey, I mean, true, I live in the home of Dragon Con, which, if anything can be said about Dragon Con, it is home of the cults. But
truth. No, like I say, I mean, for me, getting into that community, I was that Clone Saga guy. For you, what Spider Girl was, I was the Clone Saga guy because, like, let's face it.
Well, also in fairness, she looks like me. Like when I picked her up at 8 years old, it was the first time I saw someone sporty with short hair. Because to me, even this is long, but it's quarantine time. So it's just kind of like, to me, she looked like me. She acted like me. Because any other time before that, everybody was blonde or redheaded. They were very voluptuous, or it was like Rogue. And I love Rogue, but some parts of Rogue are very much Southern stereotypes that I just never identified with. Maybe it's because I'm from Macon. I don't know, like Macon or Atlanta. Like it's not like they're super down in the boonies, but
yeah, no, I 100% understand that. Being, from West Texas, Northwest Texas. Let me specify, because we're farther north than North Texas, but there's just when you say North Texas, it's always Dallas.
It's fine. Texas is its own country. We know this. It's
yes, it really is. And so being around the agriculture and the oil, you have a whole different world than if you grew up in the major metropolitan area like a Dallas or a Fort Worth or a Austin or Houston. So it very much is a culture shock for those that come out here or that are not from here. So it's very, but you do see the stereotypes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I always think of when I think of Rogue, I always think sugar, or honey or whatever, and you do get that in the South that you don't get, in those areas.
Well,
but it is different being in a city than in the country.
Yeah, well, it's also when you grow up, you kind of realize how that it all plays on stereotypes and not actual people. I don't know. Yeah. It's there. It just always, there was something very artificial with her take in the comics and in the cartoon at the time that I grew up that I didn't identify with. And so just to be able to see somebody who looked like me. I mean, it's the same thing on like I've discussed this on other podcasts, but like I cried when I saw a little girl see a Shuri figure at Target and went, "Mama, it's me." Mm-hmm. And maybe it was because Coco's Remember Me was also playing, because why Target? Why?
Why would you do that to people, Target?
But, you know, tears
down
face.
Sarah did that to me. I had never seen Coco, and then she's like, "You have to watch it with me," and I'm just like, "I'm not okay." Yeah. So bad Target, bad playing that in the background. But no, I get it, because for me, you talk about, you know, identifying with the character. I think one of the things that I did identify with the Clone Saga was I was a twin, and having a twin of Peter being in the books really resonated, because I always wondered what it would be like to have a twin brother. I had a twin sister who was severely disabled. So, you know, my life was very much, comics were my escape, because I had a lot of chaos. Not knocking my parents at all. They did the best they could with what they had available. But it very much was one of those things where I was drawn to that. And I think that's why I latched onto that story, because, you know, they were twins, you know, and especially when you read the later, because when I started really reading with Blood Brothers, which, you know, kind of was where they were like, all right, we're going to embrace this brotherhood aspect of Peter and Ben. And so that really resonated with me. And so I was very sad when Ben was, you know, offed by the Green Goblin. But, you know, I was that guy that fought, I want Ben Reilly back. And then I got Ben Reilly back, and I was like, I don't want this.
It's always a double-edged sword, okay? Like
it was the definition of monkey's paw. But yeah, you know, I love the concept of Peter being a dad and raising a kid. And so when I got into Spider-Girl, I was like, man, this is a book that just keeps going, and I need to support it with my hard-earned money. And that's, so I remember at that time we'd, you know, finally found the comic shop that we had over in Amarillo, and Ed, who's been literally in business almost 40 years. And, you know, he's like, I'll make sure. And I was, you know, for a while I was the only one. And I remember, you know, printing off the little signs that we made on the message board and to put them in windows at our comic shop. And he let me do that and told him why. And so, you know, that's a story that needs to be told. And that's where I'm really excited to have a bit of this fresh start with you, because you have a completely different perspective than I would have as a young girl. And for me,
I think I have a completely different perspective from a lot of people, because I felt very seen. Speaking of like dads, because Pete's a little bit of a stricter, protective dad. He worked in law enforcement. That's exactly my dad, to a very large degree. So there's a lot of parallels, and it's really funny because right now, like, we're doing the Reddit discussions, and I've had to defend Pete and his strictness, and I'm sitting here typing it up, and I'm like, oh, teenager me is very upset with myself right now, because I get it now because I'm 30. But you know, not a. It's weird. It's so funny, just like from reading it as a kid and totally identifying exactly where Mayday is coming from, being as mad about Pete being unfair as she is, versus now I'm reading it and I'm like, I get totally why he's doing this.
Listen,
I love talking about the duality about that, because the series is timeless in that way.
It very much what Tom and Ron made, and Pat, they made something that is as universal as the Lee Ditko era and the Lee Kirby era. They understood what made that work as a timelessness to it. Yes, people were like, this is taking place 15 years in the future. Somebody had kind of postulated the theory about it being an alternate present and just kind of going from there.
Didn't that start because of the UK and how they marketed it?
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that sounds right. But yeah, it was one of those things where, yeah, obviously it was 15 years in the future. Yeah. And, you know, there is a very clear breaking point, especially when the later you get into the series. When you get to around issue 50, there's a very clear line of delineation. And it was, and for some people, they considered Spider-Man dead from that point, and MC2 was the continuation of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And I completely understand that just because of what was going on at that time. But at the same time, you know, I appreciated that they weren't beholden to that so much because they brought in things like Aranya. You know, when Aranya came about, there was some controversy in the Spider-Girl community. And I'm going to make this clear on episode 0, and I'm going to continue to beat this point home. Joe Quesada is not the enemy of Spider-Girl. Joe Quesada is one of the biggest reasons that Spider-Girl was surviving for as long as they kept it alive. Like, they could have axed it well before they did, and he was a champion of it because I think he understood the potential behind it. And now, you know, with Spider-Gwen, seeing how all these girls now are like, oh my God, Spider-Gwen, I'm hoping that we'll see, you know, Mayday show up in a future film, but we don't know that yet. But I will tell you this.
I'm excited and terrified.
Right. Well, and I think that there is a segment of the guys at Sony that are legit Spider-Man fans, and they want to make it right. And I get that there's a lot of back and forth with the Sony MCU changes and everything that's happened with that. But listen, can we not? The thing is now we've had an entire generation of people that they've known nothing but superhero movies, right? They've lived their entire lives now.
Oh, why are you reminding me that people born in 2000 or 20?
I'm sorry, but I get it. No, I mean, the fact that for you and me, we lived through 9/11 as kids, and we grew up in the post 9/11 world. So, like, for now there's kids that have no idea other than it being something they learned in the history books. And so, yes, that makes all of us I know that are watching this stream probably feel super old. But, you know, look, this year is the 20th anniversary of the first X-Men film. I remember going to the theater, watching that in theaters, and being just blown away because the X-Men, which I watched on Saturday mornings, was on the big screen, and how big of a deal that was. And I remember reading how big of a deal it was when Spider-Man finally got the web got untangled with the movie rights for that. And watching Spider-Man after kind of being in a bit of a malaise for 7, 8, 9 months after 9/11, and just the feeling of the most New York character being in New York and how it just brought everybody together. It's the first film that grossed $100 million on an opening weekend. Mm-hmm. And I remember my website literally got shut down because the amount of traffic and bandwidth that we had it killed it. And it wasn't just me, it was everything Spider-Man related that weekend. Was if you had a website on the internet, it was dead. I even think the Spider-Man and Spider-Girl message boards both went down that weekend. And so now looking at it from this perspective, we get to be able to tell the story of that fandom. And I just think it's a very important thing. And when you kind of sort of pitched Make My Mayday to me, I was like, yes, reviews are important, but telling and interacting with the fandom is so big.
Well, to me, there is something about the story and about the character that, doesn't. It's lasted the zeitgeist of pop culture and the internet, mm-hmm. and you know, you have so many people that literally, there's so many cosplayers that will just buy the suit to buy the suit. And they do it because they know that it's something different and it's not Spider-Gwen and stuff like that. But the thing is like, they, with a quick 10-minute Google search, they can pretty much figure out enough, you know, to do the costume. And that says something, because you can't really quite do that with like the What If with Betty Brant as Spider-Girl.
No.
Nope, you can't do that with. It's actually harder. It's actually pretty hard to do with quite a few spiders. But May is always at the top, and she's always still there. And that's kind of the thing. Is it's like people don't understand why, and that's kind of what I want to bring forth. Is this is why, and this is why this is awesome, and also invite people to come in.
And that's the thing, is that even though, you know, they obviously were like, you're too young to be here, there's still the community was always so
it was fine. It was legit. I lied. I deserved it. I was like, I remember being mortified and like, I was like, first time I'd ever like truly lied in that situation. And so I was like, okay, never mind. Because my mom never wanted me on message boards, never wanted me on chat rooms.
My dad.
I was only on MySpace. I was only on MySpace for 6 months before she found it. And then I got grounded for months. Like, I was not allowed to have a social media account whatsoever until I turned 18. And she has her reasonings, and I actually very much agree with them. Like, she's a proponent of it's invasive, and it's, you know, it is.
It does not make.
Okay, the issue doesn't make sense either. Well, all of it does, but in general, I'm just saying. The thing is it's like when you type in Spider-Girl, technically Betty Brant's the first Spider-Girl. If you're gonna get into it.
Yeah. No.
But you know, it's just
was a weird title back then. They were just like, it was like they were throwing anything against the wall and see which one stuck. But
it's not the weirdest. It's still not the weirdest.
The fact that you had a Tom and Ron that were so like, all right, we're going to create this entire world just for this one issue, and you know, just move, you know, and basically it was like, all right, what would the Avengers look like? What would the X-Men look like? What would, you know, and be able to touch on all those things. I mean, there's not a lot of people that would have necessarily put that time and effort into their craft that way. And so for something to just completely spin out and be like, that book sold so well that, hey, you want to create a whole line of comics that way? I mean, again, this was also 1998 when Marvel was bankrupt. Let me say that again. They were bankrupt. And I mean, Marvel in general is one of the greatest comeback stories in American business history. The fact that they were completely bankrupt, they were broke, they were doing anything they could to see what stuck, and they were able to bounce back and eventually be acquired by Disney and then achieve levels that literally
eventually
nobody
acquired by Disney does not sound like a triumph story, but
you know, but at the same time, I don't know if you would have gotten in-game breaking all the records it broke without that acquisition. And
no,
you know,
I agree with that. I also think, ultimately
it is very much a double-edged sword.
I also think ultimately it was a better deal, because when you're looking at what Warner Brothers is doing with DC right now, it could have definitely gone a different direction.
Right.
But Marvel pretty much, I think, has been very respectful of the comics for the most part.
They acknowledge.
We could talk about Maximum Venom. Sorry, Kevin. But
yeah. I mean, look, yeah. So, I definitely I understand, look, was there good things that happened with that? Yes. Was there bad things that happened with that? Yes. I mean, the answer to those questions is both yes. So
it's change. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Nothing can stay the same. So it's kind of that's also another thing on why it's super good about.
He might still have a job if he'd done that in the 90s.
No, there was a lot of craziness with Michael Eisner. But what I was gonna say though is just wow, I've lost my train of thought because we got stuck on Disney.
Yeah.
Keep going, Zach. I literally just like my brain went.
So
Disney.
Now we want to kind of open it up to you guys that have questions, and so let's we'll give you guys some time to start asking some questions, and we'll try to do kind of a Q&A portion. The goal is to do these live, do these shows live episodes, and which is
as live as we can, because I don't want to ever make someone feel, especially when we're doing the roundtable idea, I don't want to ever make anyone uncomfortable. So clearly, if you want to do it, definitely come talk to us. I want to hear your story. I want to hear about what makes Spider-Girl fun for you. But I want to make sure everyone is cool with everything. I think we're pretty chill. Like we can make a lot work. If there's a will, there's a way. I think we've learned that, at least about me, especially because that's one of my big things on being like quote unquote getting back to myself is when I was 8 years old. I don't know how, because I can't remember exactly how I did it, but I wasn't taking no for an answer on those comics that day. And I can be very stubborn when I need to be. No, never. But that's why it's, if there's something that I feel is super important, or I feel like there is a voice there is a story there, I will do what I can to make it happen.
And look, me and Kelly have done enough of these live streams. We kind of know what we're doing, but we also when I was with Crawl Space for 17 years as a moderator, as a member of the message board, and then as a member of the admin team and co-founder of the podcast. So I remember when we first went live, it was like nerve-wracking. Oh yeah, we're doing it live. But, so we want to make people as comfortable as possible, and we don't want to put anybody in bad positions where they'll be uncomfortable. So we have options, and the great versatility of the software we're using is that we can record things like we do with Spidey Experience for right now, and we're not doing those live. We're doing those, we're pre-recorded and then release them later. So that way, we can kind of build up the audience and stuff. So, our goal is to try to make things, as easy and as possible. All right. Greg has a comment. Says, can't say I have a Spider-Girl story like the two of you. It was a book that I really enjoyed and bought every issue because I loved it, and to give it every sale it could get. Yeah. I mean, it just was so well crafted with Tom. You could feel the love between everybody. Matt has a question. What are your favorite Spider-Girl issues?
All of them. No, I have certain ones. Like, are you talking about story-wise, or are you talking like just sentimental reasons?
For me, I'll say this. Amongst my favorites, obviously, I have a real soft spot for the Marked for Death story. Because that was when I started Spider-Girl. But for me, 82, was it 82 that was the girl fight? Where it was Electro and Peter. Now
I'm checking. It is I can't remember if it. Yeah, it's got to be 82 because it's not 92. Yeah.
Yeah. So 82.
I'm checking.
That was the issue where he says both, by the way. That was the issue. Like when I became a dad, I reread that, and it hit me much harder This I loved it the first time, but it really hit me the second time when I have a little girl. And that's the other thing about this show is that we want to create a show that my daughter can listen to. And because this summer she was with me, and she got that's when I introduced her to Spider Girl. She's 5, and so we read Spider Girl stories every other night, and she really liked it. She really liked Crazy 8 because he was crazy. What costume of May's do you each like?
No,
I like the black suit.
Zach, I didn't answer Matt's question.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Wow. Okay.
My bad. All right. That first question. Other Matt. We got Matt Auger and Matt Bird. All right, Kelly. Answer. I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Okay. Thank you. So I would also say Marked for Death story wise. I love I want to say I've got Marvel Unlimited up here because I'm so bad with numbers, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, I want to say it's 62 is my favorite story issue. No, not 62. Hold on. 65, I think. Nope. Anyway, it's somewhere in there. Okay, I'm done with that. But also for sentimental reasons, the Girl Who Fell from Earth is one of my great ones. Just because kind of how when I was moving around a lot 3 years ago and trying to get everything piece everything back together. It was an issue that just kind of fell out of the trunk. I still don't know exactly how. And I reread it and it hit a lot differently than as a kid. And so for my own personal reasons for sentimental value, I will always take that because that kind of helped kickstart this whole like, okay, I've got to get things back on track for myself. So that is that. And now Zach, you can start answering questions. I'm sorry that I made you put yourself on mute, but you forgot about me.
No. I forgot about you for a brief second. But no, I love the original costume because I loved Ben's costume. To me, Ben Reilly's costume was a great update of the original suit. And that was when I started reading Spider-Man. So when Mayday has the suit, I'm like, okay, she's wearing her Uncle Ben's colors, you know, that's the way she's honoring her Uncle Ben. And because I remember when
I was grabbing visual aids.
I understood. I knew what you're doing.
I can't choose, guys.
When Ben dies, his last words to Peter are, "Be sure to tell Baby May about her Uncle Ben," and that just breaks your heart. And so to see her wearing that costume was like, okay, this feels right. Now, you know, the fact that Sal Buscema thought that it looked better on a female figure than it did necessarily on the male figure, I kind of get that. It does. Does it look better on Mayday? Yes. But I'll always have a soft spot because it was Ben's, and that was like when I started reading Spider-Man. So I like the black suit. The black suit's great. It's very, very much a reminiscent of the elements that I like about the black suit, the simplicity of it. So yeah, Kelly, what's your which costume do you like the most?
Obviously, classic, because you know, to me, there's no other suit that's more iconic than her classic suit. But
right,
and I like all the suits. I would say the only thing that I have like an extreme aversion to is I've been putting off doing the Secret Wars suit. I've got the pattern, I've got everything ready to go for it, but I can't bring myself to get that done because I kind of want to like just put a giant thing around my neck that just says this is the worst timeline. And
right.
So yeah, that's I have complicated feelings about that, but both of these suits bring me great joy, and I can't really say
I want
I care
a
about
black
one or the other.
Yeah, I want a black suit Mayday though, like figure, because that leads to our next question, which is favorite Mayday action figures. Listen, there was nobody more hyped for Marvel Legends to release the Spider-Girl figure than me. I remember seeing that maybe except for Kelly. But like I remember seeing that it was at San Diego Comic-Con. They had the Pizza Slice Spidey and the Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure, and I was like, I am buying multiples. Now I end up one of the feet ended up breaking on my original one, and so this is the second one I bought. Love it, love the figure. In fact, I'm going to be working on customizing the other one to where I can. Yeah, I never got that one. That was a previews exclusive, Toy Biz. That
I have all of them, and I have this one twice.
So, yeah, and I agree with Greg. I want an April/Mayhem Marvel Legend. I agree with that too.
Agreed. You know what? Can we get the whole thing so I don't have to like shave down Norman's head? Because that's what I'm gonna have to do to get rid of his like forehead wrinkles to make this Normie. And can they just do a whole MC2 line, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if we can do a Age of Apocalypse, can we do an MC2? Like, I have no problem with like. I mean, if you're gonna put out 1 million waves a year, Hasbro, like, I already know you've already finalized 2021, but I know you're working on
20. What's 20? Hold. I can't math in my head. When's the 25th? What's 25 years from 1998?
2023. Yeah, 2023.
Okay, 2023. So there you go, Hasbro.
Well, we're gonna have to reach out to Hasbro and start a campaign.
We just need let's quote unquote get the band back together and just be really annoying for like a whole year.
Yeah, and the only reason I know that they finalized is that they actually said that on one of the fan or on a podcast where the gang was basically the 3 guys that mainly have been doing all the Marvel Legends live streams were together. So
fair, because my unopened one does that too. Like it sticks. It's weird.
The way that they put a little heat on it, and that'll help, like a blow dryer or even get some hot water and stick it in hot water, and you can.
Don't trust me with that. No.
No, that's one, like when you have like joints that are stuck. That's a surefire method to help get it unstuck. But yeah, if you're the Goblin Queen for the upcoming Hasbro.
Wait, really?
No, that's what Greg was saying, because they're doing a bad guy wave that's all bad guys.
Yes.
Next year, and they've teased it and previewed it because they did, I think, Arcade.
I'm gonna hold my feelings on her character. I love her as a character, but like there will be rants, guys. More than likely,
you're gonna hear it all. Is it true? Oh, Josh. Only if you're written by Jody Houser.
Well, okay. In fairness, I do not believe that was Jody's fault, like at all. Okay, guys, and the artist, apparently, like from what I understand, I want to say the artist doesn't speak English as his first language, and I think that there was a little bit of like, I don't know, because like I'm trying. That's what I'm hoping. It's what I'm choosing to believe. I'm also, though, still really concerned from that page about like where May's shirt went.
Yeah, there's.
I'm sorry.
And as was evidenced by our good friend Ron Friends, it was a 6-minute Google search that would have warranted. But again,
yeah, I mean, look, it's been like 2 years, guys. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. All of it's fine.
In fairness, the series was never meant to focus on May. Spider-Girls was meant to be a closing of Renew Your Vows. So
yeah, it really was. I mean, it just happened to guest star because like Aranya doesn't do hardly anything. Poor Aranya.
Oh God, Bertoni.
Hashtag.
Don't.
Gosh, we have to explain what that is.
See, now I have to explain that. Like, I don't.
No, we don't have to. We'll do it later.
Or not. Yeah.
That would be another 30-minute long conversation. But no, like I say, the fact that
people are gonna wonder now.
That's a tease for
Great.
a future episode. See, so
the one where I embarrass myself, probably. Yeah.
So our gotta talk about our timeline, Kelly.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I was trying to hit the mute button. But yeah, we're not gonna do, like I say, issue by issue necessarily. We'll do kind of certain issues.
So the timeline that like I wrote out, which obviously like, yeah, we'll probably mix and move it, but I was hoping to try and like keep our reviews within a decent order. And also include all of MC2 titles. Those episodes I don't think are going to be that super hard or crazy or long, because we're not going to go like each issue. I don't want to go each issue. I want to try and do each story or an issue or two, stuff like that. But my main thing on this is the round tables and the spaces I put out so we can do interviews, so we can do stuff, because that's kind of, those are the ones that can change. You know what I mean? Like, and those are the ones where it's like, yeah, we could have, I don't want us to ever do 10 review episodes. Yeah, Vinkman. Yeah. And anyway, so I don't want us to go like 10 episodes of nonstop reviews without some kind of roundhouse or table. I want us to be able to break that up so we can talk about something a part of the fandom, whether it's, let's talk to a bunch of fan artists, or let's talk to the people on Reddit. Let's talk to the people from the old message boards. Let's, I don't want us to get stuck on just going through the reviews and going through the motions. I want to actually talk to people. I want us to all feel involved and feel like we have a place in this kind of fandom crazy world, and just be able to chat like humans. Because I think that's what ultimately it's what Spidey Dude brings to the table. We're all friends here. We all talk, and it's a lot easier to bring people in and have fun and have a good conversation and keep it positive than it is to review things. And if we kind of get stuck, like especially towards the later half, because I do want to be able to talk about Spider-Girls and and Spider-Verse, Spider-Geddon, because those are important in this, and I don't want us to like start harping on it and feeling negative all the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing, is I want to make sure that we break up our review episodes with roundhouses, but I would like to, I'll be honest, I would like to keep it in order, because I think keeping it in order would be easier, especially for newer readers to read with us.
Right. And the one thing that's, having done a lot of review shows.
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel.
Don't start this, guys. It's really not that funny anymore, because now I'm just like, everywhere I go, people are like,
eggplant. Anyway, so
eggplant. I should have never mentioned how the eggplant was the same colors as Green Goblin, because this is what started all of this.
Yes, that's exactly how that rabbit hole developed. And I wake up the next morning having missed a third of the conversation, going, "What in the world?" Anyway, so having done a lot of review shows and done shows that were mainly reviews, and then we touched upon the fandoms and stuff. Like, I feel like it's more of an interesting topic in the fact that we're chronicling why this series resonated with people, as opposed to telling the story behind the story like with CSC. And so that's where I know that's where the community is going to be fostered. And I'm just really excited to move forward with it. And I know it's a big deal for a lot of people. And for the guys that did everything with the message board, I know that at the time, when eventually Amazing got canceled. Is that a pickle? Venkman?
I think it's a pickle.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully everyone can watch this on YouTube, so you get the full experience of
exactly
the fact that we have, like, you know what? It wouldn't be a Spidey Dude episode if we didn't derail into something, especially when I'm involved. So there we go. I tried. I really tried not to go off into the zany and wacky, but here we are.
Listen, if you've been following us for any length of time, you'll know. Matt, I know. I'm looking forward to putting them out. I will say this: the last episode is going to be very, very emotional for me, because it's just an end of an era. But yeah, the next to last episode is a ton of fun, and I can't wait to once the site's everything's back to normal and we're back and running and everything's good. I'm looking forward to putting that one out. But yeah, so obviously we're wanting to move forward with this. This will be available. I will put this out as an audio as well as video, so you can definitely check out our live streams and stuff like that. And you'll be able to find us on the YouTube. So just to kind of hype up the YouTube right quick, I'll share my screen right quick. There's us on the YouTubes.
Wow.
So we got 7 people watching. We started streaming so just go to Spidey Radio Network. Just search that in your box. Be sure to hit the notification bell and hit subscribe, so that way you can be informed as to when we have brand new episodes. You can also follow us on Twitter. At Spidey Dude Radio. It is where I post a lot of stuff on Twitter, and I'll interact with posters on Twitter. And there's the new MJ with the new Peter.
But she still looks like MJ.
At least she does. Yeah, I know. But
I'm not going to get into that.
That's a whole thing for a Spidey.
A whole thing for me.
Experience. Yeah, of course you can also follow us on Instagram. We'll start getting everything real going on the Insta. So yeah, and of course you can always find us on Facebook at Spidey Network, at Spidey Network on Insta, both on Facebook and Instagram, at Spidey Radio on the Twitters. So yeah, YouTube is where it's at. I know Oracle Fish. Hi, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
How did you feel when Mayday grew her hair out? I thought it looked good. The short hair is probably more iconic. I'd love both as an alternate heads if they make a new Marvel. Yeah, I agree too. I'd like both.
I never really had a particular feeling about it. I like shorter hair. Her hair still wasn't that long. It was about like this. So
yeah, I always kind of wondered how.
I don't need my wig right now, guys. Yeah.
Yay! No, I always wondered how where all the hair went, like when she's in the suit. It's like
that is my main thing. I think there's some photos of me where I didn't put a wig cap on before putting on my mask, and my hair was about this length at the time, and it was getting just coming out of it left and right.
Yep.
So maybe
Like,
well, no, she doesn't wear a wig cap. I don't know. I don't understand it. Magic.
It's magic. We don't gotta explain. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that reference. Oh, it's magic. We don't gotta explain it. But yeah, no. That's kind of where we're at. So we'll take the last 10 minutes or so. We were planning on 90 minutes, and kind of go with your comments and questions, and fire away.
Yeah.
So we'll and then we'll kind of wrap things up and go from there. So
yep. So I think I put in a 2-week gap, right? Between this episode and next. So episode 1 should hopefully be in 2 weeks. Not entirely sure what it's going to be.
I understand.
Yes. I don't know if we're going to do the idea I wrote in on that timeline, or if we're going to start in with reviews, but
yeah, you and I will talk about it.
It's not up to me on if we can do the idea. Like, there's other things at work that we got to schedule out, but that's why I did the 2-week gap, so we could schedule it. I'm smart.
Yeah. So we'll when it gets closer to the in a couple of weeks, when it gets closer and we know what we're doing, we'll definitely be hyping it up. So welcome to the Spider family.
Yay!
When you hear your family. Oh, that's
Olive Garden?
that I did as the Godfather. I mean, come closer. Make him an offer we can't refuse.
All that Parmesan, like all of it everywhere. Well, see, now that's kind of a Scarface reference.
Yeah. But no, for those that don't know, oh, it's magic, was the outro theme for a long time on CSC. Yeah, so because we used to make that joke all the time, it's magic, we don't want to explain it, which is a reference to One More Day. Oh man, Ron Friends with the fire. Listen, you were my first. And like when I was reading regularly, so I have a very big fondness for you, Mr. Friends. Even that cartoony style that you said you're going through some stuff when I talked to you about it. But I love Pat's kind of grounded take on things. Oh, looky there.
I'm just saying that again, this is still the only one that is framed.
There you go. So the artwork that's there. So yeah, obviously there was, when you first started with it, there was a little bit of different art style.
Why is it still all on me?
Oh, because I hit the solo layout. So there's definitely a certain art style that was there. But yeah, I always felt like that. Not that there wasn't movement with Pat's pencils. But it always felt like that I was reading an animated series with Ron, and then of course you change the style a little bit with Amazing, and so I have a fondness for Amazing too. I like the bigger eyes personally, but I didn't like. It just felt very Romita like with the smaller eyes, very classic Romita. So I'm always going to be pro big eyes, but I know I may not be in the majority of that, but yeah, I always liked Pat's pencils. I always appreciated when he came in. There is a certain I liked Pat's pencils back on Untold Tales, and so like I always appreciated his stuff too. So I like both. I like them pretty equally with the nod going to Ron, and that's not because Ron Friends is awesome. and legendary and great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that I always liked his work. Let's put it this way: I got letters published during the Ron Friends era of Spider-Girl. I didn't get those letters published during the Pat Oliver era of Spider-Girl. So there you go. Vinkman. Oh man, Ron just called you.
I was like, I'm just gonna show visual cues and not say anything verbally. But I love both. I can't.
You always preferred.
It's hard.
We love you, Ron.
Yeah.
You're like our. We've adopted you as our uncle. You don't still know it yet. Well, I mean, first choice is always Tom and Ron. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
With Sal and inks and Pat coming in and maybe doing covers or something. Have all the daddies together. That's an ideal world. I liked what Jodie brought to the character. I would like to see her handle the universe. Maybe
not to me. Sorry.
I know you disagree on that. But again, I don't know. I want somebody that's a fan of the book, that's a writer, to do it, and I think that's the only way you do it justice. So, Uncle Ron. Ron's like, shut up, Matt. Ron's like, don't. Well, wait, let's put it this way: it won't. My choice would not be Dan Slott.
Ooh.
Dude, I ain't gonna. Oh, you got me screaming, Greg, because I know that. Look, I know Wiseman, and I know Vic Cook.
I mean, hey, there's also all the Maximum Venom people that follow me for some reason on Instagram.
Right? I'll die on the hill. No Tom and Ron, it's not Spider-Girl. Well,
I understand that completely. I don't know. I also think though that there's a part of me that feels like there's no way to really bring it back and it ever be the same, period. And so that's kind of also the thing, because it's also like, well, why would they bring it back? What would be the reasoning? Yeah. And that would set the entire tone. When obviously like with Spider-Verse, like it was done without a lot of thought. I think it was all shock and awe and craziness. And I think it was done legitimately to upset us, like as fans, because that garners
it was to elicit a reaction.
Yeah.
And good, bad, or indifferent. And I mean, you I'll never forget Tom, or not Tom, it was Ron that was railing against the fact that poor Ms. Lion was howling in the night as the Amazing Friends were slaughtered needlessly in the story. Again, all those deaths leading up to the story was just basically to upset you and to make you hate by it. It felt like. And I feel that's 100% what it was, and that's why I think I'll be honest, like I remember Slott in particular on his Twitter like talking about how much of a big Spider-Girl fan he was. That was done on purpose, right?
Like, it was done with that in mind, because it was any engagement, any talk is good talk if it's going to sell it. Right. And that's the mindset.
No, and in his mind, he probably was like, well, I made them central plot points. But again, it wasn't doing something that made sense for the character. It was using them as a plot point. The plot was driving the characters, not the characters driving the plot. And that's where, and even Greg says this, I mean, he says it was mean-spirited. And I don't disagree.
It certainly felt that way.
It certainly feels like
we can't say yes or no unless
we had sat down with Slott and asked him. point blank.
Yeah.
But again, it was one of those things where I get the temptation to use that as a plot device, but again, one of the questions that I asked the two of them back in the day was, what's when writing, what drives the characters? And it's the characters have to drive the situation. And if they felt like they had more stories to tell, I'm sure, you know, they've got more Spider-Girl stories. I want to hear it. But unfortunately, at least early on in that series, if they bring it back, they're going to have to address the elephants in the room.
No, they wouldn't.
Peter. I mean, they don't have to, but there would be
no. They like legit. It's technically set up where they really wouldn't, but at the same time, I think all of us as fans that read it and were affected by, you know, by everything that happened, we would want some answers. And that's the thing is that, I mean, but technically, because you know we got into Web Warriors. That I don't like calling him Uncle Ben. He's not Uncle Ben to me. I don't understand it. There we go. Fine. So he, you know, he died.
Yeah.
He died in Web Warriors, and then, you know, literally Spider-Geddon freaking ends with World 982 Pete's hand coming out of his grave.
Yeah, that was like, we're sorry, we know we messed up. Here's Peter having the other powers, which is just a whole can of worms. Having that with Kane as a Clone Saga fan, I was like, all right, I've already dealt with this with Kane, so I already know what the problem with it is. But just taking that plot point and putting it off of Kane and then putting it on MC2 Peter Parker, who has still missing a leg, last I checked.
And that's where, like, and we'll go into that when we read that, and we will read that. I have it planned. We're gonna do it. But it's more of like there's a lot of questions as a fan that it brings up, but technically no one would ever really have to even touch that because it is technically clearing the slate, which is all Spider-Geddon does, is just kind of reset a lot of stuff back to normal. But at the same time, nothing's ever normal after what happened without basically just taking it away completely. Whoa. Thanks, Danny. Shoot.
Yeah, Danny Pache. He separates Mayday from just about every other legacy characters, including Miles Morales and Miguel's. The stories and everything she goes through, good and bad. And because of all those things, Mayday becomes an amazing and spectacular character. She is leagues above a certain scavenger from a certain sequel trilogy, that's for sure.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
For myself personally, I intend to introduce my niece to Mayday when she's old enough. If she's going to like superheroes, who's better than Mayday? And I 100% agree with that. And people wonder why fans are always angry. Exhibit A, Dan Slott Spider-Verse. You know, like, look,
we'll get into it. I specifically wrote on our show notes today. I was like, let's not like get into the angry. Let's be all positive and light and like happiness, because this is exciting. I'm very happy, like super excited. I'm probably sound a little nervous because I don't want to mess up for you guys. But we'll definitely get into it. Rants will happen.
Oh yeah, there will be a time to rant and a time to. But again, I think we're trying to treat this as fair. The stories as fair as we can. Yeah. You know, because that's what Mayday deserves. She deserves calling it like we see it, but also not being afraid to listen to people that have opposing opinions, because that's Mayday in a nutshell. She tries to build consensus. This is a girl that, you know, when the popular guys are treating the nerds bad, she tries to resolve it, and she tries to get in the middle of it. And, you know, sometimes she realizes that she has to back off, but, you know, she is the ultimate friends with everybody type of person, and that's the type of character Mayday is. And so, you know, you may not agree with me and Kelly on Spider-Verse, and that's okay. You may not agree with us on Web Warriors, or you may not agree with us on the early issues. That's okay. That's the great thing, is that we're here to build bridges, not burn them down as we're making comments.
Exactly. And that's another reason for the fan tables, because I do
Yeah.
not want. I want to make sure everyone is heard, because at this point, like, it's been 20 plus years of this comic being in existence, and it went for a very long time. If I'm not mistaken, if you take away Hellcat, which you should, sorry, Patsy.
Don't say that.
But
Hot take.
well,
Josh says Crazy 8 was the only same one. My daughter would disagree with you there, Bertoni.
well, she likes Crazy 8 because Crazy 8's crazy.
But
what I was gonna say though is it's more of just like, it's been such a long time.
So you just shot some shots fired.
Okay. I'm not meaning it. It's just let's take Patsy and put Patsy in her own special place, because she deserves a special place, because technically she's a character she's the longest running Marvel character, but only if you count the times before she was a superhero in her romance novels or romance issues. But the longest running single issued superheroed female in Marvel to this day is still Mayday Parker.
Yeah, I mean, she hopes.
Bertoni, I wasn't meaning it like take her away forever. No, that's why I said sorry. Like it wasn't sarcastic. I swear. It's just it's kind of hard to explain her, like, why she's technically the longest, because it's a lot like the Wonder Woman starts and stops in weird places and stuff like that, where then you can't. It's like you want to honor it, but then you can't. It's not linear, and Mayday's pretty cut and dry linear. So that's all I'm saying. Yeah.
So yeah, I get, but She-Hulk's number 2. I mean, she has had over 100 issues of her various titles. So, but yeah, no one ever had from start to finish 100 issues of a title like Spider-Girl did, and that was a true testament to those fans. I'm one of them. My contributions are this big, but but yeah, no, that's a testament to the character and everything like that. So, like I say, we're looking forward to chronicling Mayday.
Yes,
pun intended.
I'm excited to talk to people. I'm excited to kind of get this rolling, and hopefully everybody else is excited about it, because I'm super excited. I'm very happy that we're making this happen.
Absolutely. So, if you like this show, be sure to share it on your various social medias. If you enjoyed it, let us know. Leave us some feedback. You can obviously comment live when we're doing our live shows, but you can always leave us a voicemail at 818-925-6631.
Someone do Jonah Jameson. Just saying. If anybody that can do the voice wants to do the voice, you should do that.
I'm resisting the urge to do my Jonah right now, but yeah, makeminemayday@gmail.com. That's also the email address. You can leave us feedback there. Be sure to like, and when we get everything up on iTunes, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram.
Yes.
When we put the audio versions of these episodes up, be sure to like us on iTunes. Give us a review of 5 stars. Leave us reviews there, and we will read those reviews live on the air. And yeah. So thanks again to everybody that participated.
Thank you guys.
90 minutes.
Yeah. Also,
you're eternally welcome, Mr. Friends. You are eternally welcome. You really are. Just I know you hate me tooting your horn, but you're a class act, and we really appreciate your support.
See, I feel like I can't ever thank Ron, because you thank him so much.
I'm gonna stop thanking him. That's what he keeps telling me to do.
But we are always grateful for Ron Friends, because he's awesome.
We've had between 10 and 12 people watching live, so that's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching us.
Yeah. Also, too, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and You have to hit that bell icon. I'll make sure you go under and you do all notifications, because if you just do the selective ones, sometimes it won't pop up.
Algorithm.
Yeah, yay algorithms. Obviously you can watch us on Twitter, so subscribe to the Twitter.
Yeah.
And Facebook and all of the good things. Are we, because I want to say, I think we were at 996. Do we need 4 more people to make it 1,000 likes on Facebook?
Let me look. I haven't even been paying attention to the amount of likes we have on Facebook
I'm
now.
good for something, guys.
Let me look. I don't. Yeah,
watch. You're gonna go look, and like we've gone down since I looked this morning. And I'm like,
we're at 988 right now, so we're 12 away from.
Wow. So all right.
Oh,
so
no.
Yeah.
We have over 1,000 people following. We have 1,004 followers. Yeah, so the likes we're 12 away from 1,000 likes. So
there we go.
There's a lot more stuff to come. I can't wait to show it to you.
Yes.
We'll do a big giant premiere week. Once everything is back up and running, we're going to have all new shows, including Make Mine Mayday, and those will be we'll do it live, and we're getting very close. We're getting very close to doing live shows on Spidey Experience. We've recorded quite a few episodes. Those are going to be coming fast and furious starting Friday.
Yep. When all right, so on Spidey Did Experience, when can me and Paul go at it in our unicorn onesies?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided.
We need a dueling unicorns. Probably. Actually, can we have a special? There we go. We need a special Spider-Verse episode of me and Paul, both dressed as unicorns, arguing with each other, because that's the only way that should ever make sense.
Yeah. Well, there is. I haven't done this part live, but we are going to do. I've kind of fondly, affectionately referred to it, but with Sarah, as my Lincoln Douglas debates with the slot run. So we're gonna me and Paul are gonna sit down and we're gonna just discuss in detail the slot run. We're gonna break it down to eras of slot and what we liked and what we didn't like, and just kind of try to be fair and give a nuanced, balanced take on it. So. Listen,
I support Betty Brant. I don't hate Betty,
but Josh does. Remember, Betty is a horrible person.
Well, yeah, that's true.
No, okay. Josh is mellowed out in his old age over Betty Brant, but
I thought Betty Brant was his girlfriend. I was very lost. No, I thought he loved her.
Oh, absolutely. He has a certain affection for Betty especially when she torches her boyfriend's apartment for. Betty 8 hasn't aged well.
It really hasn't.
It's very much a microcosm of early 2010s.
Yeah.
Fandom, but yeah.
All right.
No. Look, that being said,
yes.
We will see you guys next go around in a couple of weeks. Be sure to watch the various spaces. We will make more and more announcements as we go, and we will talk to you guys.
Yeah. Also, definitely go to the Spider-Girl subreddit.
Yes.
Basically, just Reddit /
r/Spider-Girl.
Yep. And we're doing discussions. There's a lot of stuff. There's crazy memes. Because
there is a Mayday's memes subreddit too.
There is a Mayday meme subreddit, and so join us over there. Like, we can have a chat. It's kind of like message boards, but it's Reddit. And obviously
you can do it on your phone.
Yes, and also too, if you have anything Mayday related, you are free to use #MakeMineMayday. Just maybe at me. So. You can also find me on Instagram through that. So there you go.
Definitely. So until next time, make Mine Mayday.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.